On August the 20th of 1989, at approximately 11:47 p.m., Beverly Hills Police Dispatcher Christina Nye received a 911 call at the police station. On the line was Lyle Menendez, who sounded hysterical.
Beverly Hills emergency?
Yes, police.
What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed me.
It will be your job to decide what kind of killing this is. That depends on what you come to believe was the reason for the act. The only question in this case is, why did these killings occur? There is no issue as to who killed José and Mary Louise Menendez. Why they were killed is what the focus of all of our evidence is.
This week, nearly 20 members of both sides of the Menendez brothers family came out in full force in front of dozens of cameras to emotionally plead for their release.
This is about truth, justice, and healing.
I never thought this day would come. It's time to give them the opportunity to live the rest of their lives free from the shadow of their past.
They were boys, young, scared, and abused by their father in ways no child should ever experience.
It is time for Erik and Lyle to come home.
Bias that because we were dealing with males and in an incest family, that there's sort of perceptions that, well, maybe it was something that he wanted, something that he allowed to happen, that he shouldn't be allowed to feel afraid because he's a male.
It's still happening, Andy, but it's worse for me now. I never know when it's going to happen, and it's driving me crazy. Every night, I stay up thinking he might come in. I need to put it out of my mind.
Also included in the petition, a signed affidavit by Roy Rosello, a former member of the boy band Menudo. He claims that he too was raped by José Menendez, who at the time was an executive with RCA Records.
You've done something that I thought nobody would really know about outside of the prison system. And it's called the Green Spaces Project. Can you talk about that for a second?
Find yourself getting into trouble or just doing nothing productive with your time. And I just wanted to do something more than that. And so I wanted to try to see if I could be part of this movement, this solution to rehabilitate prisoners. It started about 15 years ago, California Corrections, and I think the whole country realized that this sort of punishment model of corrections, treating prisoners as should be just punishment, was just causing prisoners to parole, commit more crimes, not adjust to society, and come right back. So both the taxpayer and just sort of criminal rights groups just felt like, and even victims' rights groups felt like we had to do something different. So they started education programs and classroom programs to try to change guys' lives so that they could become better neighbors and succeed. And the problem was that the prisoners were struggling. In my lived experience here, I found that one of the reasons they were struggling is that their physical living environment was sending them a very opposite message. The way they had constructed these prisons and the yards was so harsh and oppressive that it was sending them a message that they were irredeemable and these classroom lessons were not really real, that they shouldn't buy into that. So I got together, formed a group, and asked the governor's office and the warden if we could get permission to redesign a prison yard so that it reflected that rehabilitative mission, turn it into an actual community space through installing grass and trees and outside classroom areas and walkways, and not to make prison more fun and more less a sentence, but to create a sense of community so that prisoners could learn to function in a sense of community, almost like a campus, and they might be more open to changing their life.
It's my fault, and I got him involved and said, I need your help. And then 5 days later, my parents were dead.
So it's your fault?
That's completely my fault.
He was suicidal at the time, and it was just a last thing to reach out. And obviously who was going to reach out to. And I decided to confront my father rather than just sort of not say anything and just have Erik and I leave, which if I could go back, that's what I would do. I would just say, Erik's old enough now, he wants to leave.
Have you forgiven yourself?
I don't think it's possible.
Opinion about this case.
There are some who argue that the sex abuse was fabricated.
Sure they do. They don't want to admit the truth.
People might have seen this case very differently if it were a sister that I was protecting or that was involved in this and not a brother.